The following program is brought to you by PodcastOne Sportsnet.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is sponsored in part by BetOnline.ag. Hey, man, it's the greatest time of the year in sports. The NFL, college football, McGregor versus Khabib, and the UFC, it's all happening. You're looking for a place to make all your online wagers? Then head to betonline.ag and use promo code PodcastOne to receive a 50% sign-up bonus when signing up today. betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of the PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 in the Silver State, Nevada. I'm sitting here in my podcast room with Callie and Moolah, my prized Labrador retrievers, and they are sleeping their full heads off. Man, I tell you what, as I cut the open to this podcast, it is a Sunday afternoon, and as soon as I finish this damn thing, I'm going to go jump on either my four-wheeler or my side-by-side. You know what? I think I'm going to jump on my side-by-side because I'm going to play myself a treat out there. I'll get to that here in a minute. And I'm going to ride for about 2 or 3 hours because I've been out here for about a week or 10 days, and we've been taking care of a lot of business out here. Been in the gym getting my workouts, getting my shop set up, and I haven't taken the time to get out and ride any of my buggies. So I've been a little bit disappointed in myself. So I'm about to fix that because first thing in the morning, I'll probably get up about 4 a.m., eat breakfast, and be wheels up out of here at about 5:45 a.m., make a stop in Bishop, California at Shat's Bakery, get a sandwich and a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper because I'm in a damn hurry, and get on back to the mean streets of Los Angeles, California. Mr. Brian Cage, professional wrestler, is coming by 317 Gimmick Street this week, and I'm going to chop it up and shoot the breeze with him and see what's up. Guy's been with Lucha Underground. He's on the independent scene. Big dude. Good worker. I'm looking forward to talking to this guy because I've been impressed with his work for a long time. He's got a real good look about him. Do some more research and watch a few more of his matches. And it's been a real breath of fresh air to have some of these cats coming through 317 Gimmick Street and just shooting the breeze because I probably like to talk about pro wrestling more than anything. And that's a real cool thing about my guest today because many of you might not have ever heard of my guest today. As a matter of fact, I had not heard of my guest until I got an email at questions@steveaustonshow.com from his publicist. And the guy said in the email, hey, man, I've got a country music singer who is a wrestling fanatic. He's obsessed with wrestling. And he also is a damn good country music singer. And he'd love to be on the podcast if you're interested. And we'd like to create some awareness for his new album. And I said, well, I've read a lot of emails. People saying a lot about this and a lot about that, and you always wonder if it's true. So I opened up my laptop computer. I got on YouTube, and I started researching a couple of his songs and reading about the man. And my guest's name is Joshua Hedley. He's from Naples, Florida. He's living out there in Nashville, Tennessee now. And the dude grew up just kind of a music prodigy. He asked for his first fiddle at 3 years of age. I think he finally got his first fiddle at 8 or 9 years of age. And then turns out he found out he could sing like a damn bird and started singing. Later on in his life, he started writing country music songs. And right now on my iPhone, I've downloaded his one album off iTunes for $9.99. And the name of the album is called Joshua Hedley, Mr. Jukebox. And man, I tell you what, his publicist wasn't lying at all. You talk about a singing son of a bitch. This dude can sing his ass off. He plays a fiddle like nobody's business. He's got a great backing band, great steel guitar. It's just awesome. I love every single song on this damn CD or download, iTunes, album, whatever you call it anymore these days. Music has gotten to a place that I don't even understand it anymore, but I do understand a good sound when I hear it. And this album, in my opinion, is lights out. And we're not just going to talk about country music because I just told you guys I like to talk about pro wrestling. Joshua Hedley is an absolute wrestling maniac. When I caught hold of him, he had just finished playing Boston. When we were talking, he was in Philly, and he was coming on down the line. He's on the road for about 3 straight months. He's actually going overseas to play in Australia and New Zealand. And this dude is such a wrestling fan, He's going to the WWE Super Showdown in Australia, and I think I'm going to try to see if I can hook him up with a ticket. He was going to go regardless of whether I set him up with a ticket or not. That's how big of a fan this guy is. So I started doing some research on him, and I saw one of his interviews that he did while he was over in the UK, I think last year, and he was wearing a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt. And I said, holy shit, this guy is a wrestling fan. So we're going to talk wrestling. We're going to talk a little bit of country music. I want to apologize in advance. I was on a Skype system. Joshua Hedley was on his telephone. We had fiddled around with his Skype system, couldn't get a good connection, ended up making it happen on a telephone. And it's just hard to do these interviews on a Skype system. I'll probably never use a Skype system again just because of the lag time, and it just kind of takes you off your game a little bit. But bear with me because it's a great conversation. The guy's a super awesome musician, a super singer, a super huge wrestling fan, which was a treat for me to hear. As many times as I've ridden down the road listening to country music and helping me enjoy the miles, relax, and just forget about everything. You know, I'll mention at the close of the show some of the artists I used to listen to, but if I was still up and down that road in a 20 by 20 squared circle, I can guarantee you Joshua Hedley's new album, Mr. Jukebox, would be in my CD player or on my Bluetooth speaker, and I would be listening to this stuff going up and down the road. That's how good it is. As a matter of fact, speaking of a Bluetooth speaker, I got my iPhone sitting beside me right now, so I'm going to play you about 40 seconds of Mr. Jukebox. But you got to check this album out. If you're a true country music fan, I can guarantee your ass that you will dig this album. And if you get this album or you sample it, go to YouTube and check out some of his songs, and you let me know what you think. But I'm going to play you about 40 seconds of a Mr. Jukebox. Here we go, Mr. Joshua Hedley.
Feed me nickels, feed me dimes. I'll play your favorite song just one more time. I'm right here in the corner anytime you're feeling blue. If you've got a new romance, well, I've got the perfect dance. If you need me, I'll be here. I'm Mr. Jukebox. This old boy.
Man, if that ain't country, I'll kiss your ass. I'm fixed to get out of my damn Kawasaki mule. I'm taking Buck out today. I got a badass sound system in that UVC Power Sports over in Alvin, Texas. When they built this mule for me, they put this trick-ass sound system. I got a sound bar back behind my head, which is waterproof. I've got a subwoofer underneath my bench seat with the faux crocodile on it. And I'm going to get out there and I am going to blast the hell out of Mr. Jukebox by Joshua Hedley. But I hope you enjoy the conversation. Huge wrestling fan. Awesome country music singer. Let's help him sell some damn albums. And if he's coming to an area near you, check him out. I think he's going to be one of the fastest rising country music singers out there. He's going to the WWE Super Showdown in Australia. He's looking forward. He's like a kid in a candy store about this wrestling stuff, and I am too. And I'm like a kid in a candy store when I hear good country music as well. But enough of me talking all that smack, and all the stuff I'm talking is true. This is a badass album. Before we get to Joshua Hedley, folks, it's a great time to be a sports fan. Not only do we have a football in full swing and the baseball season headed into the playoffs, we've got basketball and hockey around the corner. And if that's not enough, the biggest fight of the year in the UFC is coming at you this Saturday, October 6th, as Conor McGregor takes on Khabib in Las Vegas. For all the wagers, lines, and props for this massive fight, our friends at betonline.ag have you covered. Head over to betonline.ag to take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. And when you're there, use promo code PodcastOne. That's PodcastOne to receive a 50% sign-up bonus today. That's right. BetOnline.ag is an exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet and our go-to for online sports betting. You need someone to get behind? These are the guys. Don't get left out. Get over to betonline.ag and use promo code PodcastOne to start winning with your online sportsbook experts.
This week, it's all about survival, and Rob's sister Nino is here to help. Check out Rob Has a Podcast as he kicks off a new season of Survivor.
And I guess you can go from you were almost a David, but you're back to a dud. But you cannot go from a Goliath to a David. Impossible!
You don't want to miss this. Check out Rob Has a Podcast every week on PodcastOne or wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Holy smokes, Joshua. It feels like you and me are damn at a family reunion. How are you?
Good, man.
Hey, man, I'm looking at your calendar right now. You're on the road right now. Last night you was in Boston. Right now you're in Philly. You're going to Brooklyn, D.C., Knoxville, Tennessee, Franklin, Tennessee, Atlanta, North Carolina, and then you're heading over to Australia. You're all over the place, man. You're promoting a badass new country album called Mr. Jukebox. Dude, your manager sent me an email, or your publicist sent me an email and said, here's this guy who's a wrestling fanatic and he's a badass country music singer. And I said, well, let me be the judge of that. And I put your album on it and played it. Hell, I downloaded it off iTunes and bought it for $9.99. So, man, I'm here to give two big middle fingers up to Mr. Jukebox by Joshua Hedley. Congrats on the album, dude. I absolutely love it, and that ain't no bullshit.
Oh, shit. Thanks, man.
He sent me that email. I called him back. I said, hey, man, how come I ain't never heard of this guy? I said, so much is good. And I call it old school. I think sometimes you kind of call it classic country. How would you refer to your music as?
Man, I just call it country music.
Thank you.
That's what it is to me. You can put a prefix on it. You can call it whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is, it's just country music.
Well, you just don't hear it as much as you used to. And because when I say that, I was telling you yesterday on the telephone when we started talking, I grew up down there in Victoria, Texas, and my dad sold insurance for a living. But on the side, on Friday nights and Saturday nights, he played in a dance band, Arnold Parker and the Mustangs. My dad was a lead guitarist, and he sang, he was the other lead vocalist. And, man, I remember him and my mom and, dragging that he pulled, the trailer with all the band equipment in it, and every now and then he'd load me, Scott, and Kevin in the back of that damn car, and we'd go to dance gigs with him. So, man, I grew up on country music. I drove down the road keeping my sanity to country music, and now to hear a badass country music singer who actually loves pro wrestling and kind of uses that to maintain some sanity on the road is a breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah, it is. I like that. You use country music, I use wrestling. I feel like we're similar because, we're in a van. We're not in a bus or nothing. We're rolling down the road it's a nice van, but it's a van. And I know y'all usually, hit the road in or back in the day at least, hit the road in rental cars and stuff. We do a similar thing. It's just that when we get to where we're going, that's where it's different.
Man, I tell you what, though, the thing about pro wrestling is, man, you pack in, and, man, I've talked to the guys from running that Calgary territory, where those trips were just legendary and brutal for how long the drives were between shots, and they're crammed in a damn van. I mean, just a shit pile of people, because you ain't making no money when you first start out, and then you're starving to death, and you just got to travel together. So then you kind of do that all through your career, and then finally you start making some money. And hell, I've always been a loner anyway, kind of a lone wolf kind of person. So finally you start getting a little bit of money. You start traveling by yourself or with one people. But yeah, I'm no stranger to traveling with a bunch of guys and 3 or 4 guys, in a hotel room. The low man on the totem pole always gets the floor or the cot. And then whoever's got seniority gets the sweet gig. So, yeah, man, a lot of damn similar shit, but you got to pay your dues.
Yeah, when I was playing fiddle for a guy named Johnny Fritz, we did a lot of house stays early on where we just crash at people's houses. The only time snoring's ever worked out to my benefit, because if there was ever a single bedroom, it was always me. We called it a snoring team chamber. So sometimes I got to get that sweet alone time on the road, but usually I'm bunking up with somebody.
Well, it's funny because you bring that story up about snoring, because I know right now you're in Philadelphia. Last night, as we speak, you were in Boston. Well, we were in Philly one night to work. We were staying at the Marriott, and we was getting ready to fly out the next morning, and it had been a late night. So Ravishing Rick Rude says, hell, Steve, you can just, stay in my room with me. Rick Rude, man, he was a, hell of a damn pro wrestler. But, man, when you turn the lights out, we tried to go to sleep. Rick Rude snored like a damn grizzly bear. And, I had the utmost respect for Rick, and we were really good friends. And he hated when I used the word GD. That was one thing that he could not stand for me to say. And so anyway, he was snoring like a damn, a bear. And I was over there, dude, I don't sleep to begin with. And so, I was kind of like, at first I was polite about it. I was like, trying to wake him up so you kind of disrupt him a little bit. And then I said, well, shit, that ain't working. So I go, Rick. And then finally that didn't start working, so I started yelling at the top of my voice at him, and it didn't even faze him. And I swore from that night on, I would never, ever, I would travel with Rick Rude, but I would never, ever room with the son bitch ever again. And I didn't, and God rest his soul, he was a really good friend of mine. But yeah, man, dude, when you're with a bunch of guys trying to save some money, sometimes, shit happens. So how the house is at the, you're on a big tour right now, man. You're on the road solid for a couple of damn months, and you're actually coming through Los Angeles when I'm going to be in Nevada. I'm going to miss your damn show. I might drive back for that sumbitch. I might drive back for it. How's the road treating you guys? How's the houses, as we would say?
It's been great. A lot of shows. This is sort of our first big U.S. tour, so I'm kind of seeing, I'm seeing where the market's at, So, right, we started out in the Midwest and we killed there. So I think the Midwest is going to be my meal ticket for a while.
Right now you're in the Northeast. How is that with regards to country music?
It's pretty good. Usually New York is good, but New York is New York. So that's just, everybody lives there. But I don't know. We'll see how Philly is tonight. Boston was great, and it just helps that I'm on a cool label.
How did that happen? Because you're on Jack White's Third Man Records, and so how did it happen that you got noticed to finally get a record deal after all these years of paying dues?
Well, I've known Jack for a while now, or for a while at that point. I'd worked with him a couple times as a fiddle player on some recordings. And really, the guy who kind of heads the label when Jack's on tour and stuff, his name's Ben Swank, and I've known him for years. And we've been friends for a long time. And I don't know, I was touring around Australia, and I had nothing. I mean, you know what it is. I had nothing at the merch table. I had like a T-shirt. And people didn't really care about that. They wanted to hear the music. So I decided I was just going to bite the bullet, make a little 4-song record, figure out how to pay for it later, and bring it to Australia just to sell at the merch table after the shows. And that EP that I made, that little record that I made, got in Ben Swank's hands, and he played it for Jack. They said, sign on the dotted line. So I did.
God dang, man, that's awesome. Way back in my USWA territory days, I didn't have no gimmicks at the merch stand. And so the guy that I was traveling with, Chris Champion, says, hey, man, we'll take a couple of pictures of you with my camera. We'll get them developed, and then you'll have some stuff to sell at the gimmick stand, because we do an intermission at every show. And that's normally when the baby faces could make a little bit of money, right? Because we wasn't making shit on the payoffs. And I said, okay. So we took 3 pictures of me in different poses, and I had some long leopard tights on. And dude, I have never liked to take still photography pictures. So I go out there, it's intermission. Jeff Jarrett's out there. He's got a truckload of gimmicks. Bill Dundee, the superstar, has a truckload of gimmicks, and they're selling the shit out of them. Chris Champion's over there with his boa constrictor and all this cool stuff. Looks like something out of Motley Crue. And there I am over there, this baby face with long blonde hair, 3 little gimmick pictures in front of me, about 5 by 7, and nobody was buying shit. Finally, this old lady came up to me and asked me how much them pictures were. And on that intermission, I sold 1 picture. And after that, I was so embarrassed and humiliated, Josh, I just said, F it, I ain't selling shit no more. So, yeah, but to your point, you got to have stuff at a gimmick stand.
Yeah, it gives the fans something to take home, and it gives you a little extra money in your pocket. So,
just a reminder that while I'm here flapping my gums, there are millions of skilled workers out there, construction workers or utility repairmen, who make their living as doers. Swig a beer to the working man. They keep the lights on, the roads paved, the water flowing. They're the unsung heroes who keep the world moving. In fact, this podcast might not even exist or get to your ears without skilled workers to provide the electricity and bandwidth for your laptops and devices. For all the doers out there, Timberland Pro has the stud wall quarter zip pullover designed to keep you comfortable, warm, and dry. And this pullover features a durable water repellent finish, a stand-up collar and chin guard so your zipper doesn't rub against your chin, stretch side panels for added mobility, and rugged textured polyester bonded fleece. The stud wall quarter zip pullover is a must-have wardrobe staple for the hardworking doers out there. There are talkers and there are doers. Timberland Pro. Always do. Never done. Hey, I was watching a interview you was done over in England. I guess probably done about a year ago, and you had a New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt on. And I was like, well, you know, they said you was a big wrestling fan. I was like, man, if this guy's got a New Japan shirt on, he's got to be pretty hardcore. Dude, if you grew up in Florida, what did you cut your teeth watching?
I cut my teeth watching Hulk Hogan, like most kids who grew up in the 80s, 90s. I was definitely a Hulkamaniac. And then I kind of fell off of it for a long time, and I got back in sort of right around when Cena was coming in and stuff like that. You know, once YouTube came around and stuff like that, you know, I started coming back and watching some of the stuff that I missed. And, you know, it was just a different, the Attitude Era and you and The Rock and Cactus Jack, well, Mick Foley, Mankind, like, it was just such a totally different game back then, like, compared to what it is now and what it was when I was a little kid. It's just insane, the differences, and I love that. Man, once I started getting more into it and more into it and more into it, I found Ring of Honor sort of by accident. I was flipping through channels and I saw wrestling on TV, and I watched it and I said, what is this? That got me into following the indie stuff, because WWE is such a massive company. They can't do the crazy stuff that they do on the indie circuit, you know. Did you watch All In?
Man, I've been meaning to watch that, but to answer your question, no. I just had the guy, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who opened that show with his opponent. He was just over here at my house, and PCO was here at the house. How was that pay-per-view? Because you're a hardcore wrestling fan. Give me your breakdown of it.
Man, it was great. Super cool to see the 10 pounds of gold, like, in the spotlight again. The booking was great. There were some insane spots. That Joey Janela, Adam Page match was unbelievable. That Joey Janela is a lunatic, man. That guy has no regard for his own body.
Man, I had him on the show. I had him on a show a couple of months ago, and my producer hooked me up with him, and I started researching him because I hadn't heard of him, because I hadn't heard of a lot of guys on the indie scene. But, man, when you get the kid in front of you, man, he is just a super kid. He has a charisma about him, a well-spoken, and he thinks about things a lot more than you would think he does. So, yeah, keep talking about that pay-per-view. But, yeah, what a great kid he is in person. And, yeah, dude, some of the stuff he does is just absolutely death-defying. Stuff that I wouldn't attempt, that's for damn sure.
The finish of that match, I don't know how he's still alive. Crazy backwards pile driver off a ladder through a table. I don't know how he didn't break his neck. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, getting to see that and getting to see, you know, like, you're not going to see stuff like that on WWE because they got to protect themselves, you know.
Dude, as a wrestling fan, what do you want to see out of wrestling? Because you started off, you was a Hulkamaniac back in the day, growing up in Florida. Then you stepped away from it for a little while. You come back in around 2003, Attitude Era is kind of fading away. I retired in 2003, and you kept watching from now, and now you're getting into indie scenes. You mentioned Ring of Honor, some Impact, the indie stuff. As a fan, a hardcore fan, you know, what do you like about wrestling? What do you want to see?
I want to see good storytelling in the ring, and I want to see good storytelling, you know, in the promos and stuff, and I want to see more, not high spots. Whatever. I just want to see more risk. I feel like people play it safe. Like, you know, I don't want to just sit here and shit talk to WWE, but I feel like they play it safe. Like I said, they have to, but it's nice seeing NXT because you get to see him do a little more.
I think there's some micromanaging on the WWE on the main roster, and it's just and again that's just the way it is. Back in before I got my neck injury, a promo was, hey man, you go out there with some bullet points. If I'm working with Vince or if I'm working with Rock or if I'm working with Taker, Triple H, it didn't matter. Bret Hart, if I was gonna be talking some shit, I might let somebody know, give them a heads up. But man, you go out there and you cut this promo, and I started learning that stuff way back in Dallas when I first broke in as Steve Austin and then turned into Stunning Steve Austin. Man, I couldn't talk to save my life, but through, falling on my face and then having to get back up, or when I got in with Flying Brian Pillman as the Hollywood Blondes, that guy was a silver-tongued devil with, a hell of a vocabulary. So I was forced to keep up with him or get left behind. And then through, my stop in ECW, you had to talk there, and everybody in the dressing room could cut a great promo. So it was sink or swim or be left behind. So you swim. And so we did that all through, the Attitude Era. And then when I came back from my neck surgery, I remember that's kind of when they started, doing the scripted type thing. And I was able to pull that off, but I never quite felt the same about, what I was doing. And, now, when I watch, I know when they're trying to take a talent that really doesn't have the business to, they don't really have the ability yet to, or their character doesn't need to say as many words or sentences to get their point across. And it just turns into just a bunch of convoluted, watered down, paragraphs strung together when, sometimes less is more. And I can see someone's eyes when they're trying to remember something, or if they've got that spark in their eyes and they're full of piss and vinegar and it's just flowing out of them and they mean every single word they say. And to me, there's a big difference in that promo. And one promo sells tickets, and the other one's kind of like, not so fast, my friend. Can you spot that?
Yeah. I feel like there's a couple, New Day specifically, I feel like they get to cut their own promos, or at least if they don't, then they're real good at, reading the script. Some of them are just so painfully scripted these days. It's rough to watch.
Yeah, but you know what? It'd be like if your record label says, you know what, Josh, we know how you talk. You kind of sound country, maybe like you're from Florida and you live in Nashville, but we want to polish you up and present you as this. Dude, it'd be uncomfortable for you. It wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be organic. And you're trying to be somebody that you're not. You're best at being who and what you are. That's country to the bone. So when you take somebody, a group of writers, trying to write all these promos for all these talents, and it's all coming from the same place, dude, you've got to have slept in that dude's bed or been in his shoes or been in a car with him or getting a couple of knockdown, drag-out fights with him to be able to write for that person as a character. And so sometimes I think that's a big part of that is lost, and you're trying to make something fit into a box that they don't belong. So let them come out of that box and let them be whatever the hell they are. And that's the only reason I made it to the top.
I think you were talking about it on that episode with Booker, going from Stunning Steve, to Stone Cold, or the Ringmaster, or whatever, and I've always heard that cliche, the best gimmicks are just, your regular personality turned up to 10 or whatever. So, and that's the way it is for me too, I try to put on a show on stage, but at the end of the day, I'd rather just bullshit with the audience between songs than say some script.
I was reading some of your background stuff, and I know when you was a kid, you asked for a fiddle at 3, and I think you got the fiddle when you were 8, and then you were basically playing with adults at the age of 12. I never met a 3-year-old that wanted a fiddle. How in the hell did you know what a fiddle was at 3?
Man, I don't know. My mom and I laugh about that to this day, It really, there's no explanation for that, because my parents didn't listen to country music. My mom listened to, oldies radio, and my dad listened to soul radio. And I grew up with Neil Diamond and Otis Redding, so where I knew specifically I asked for a fiddle too, not a violin. I just, why I knew what a fiddle was, I have no idea. And they just sort of, you know, I was 3, so I don't think they took it very seriously. But once I asked again when I was 8, I think they figured out that I meant it, you know.
When you started learning to play that fiddle, you took classical instruction?
Yeah, I started out taking classical lessons just to learn how to do it, you know, because that's the best way. Is the best way to learn how to do it proper. And but my violin teacher knew that I wanted to play fiddle, so she would, God bless her, she would teach herself these fiddle tunes and then teach them to me after, you know, we'd do the classical thing, and then I get to learn a fiddle tune. She really helped me out there, and then I just started. Once I was able to, I just started teaching myself how to do fiddle stuff. But I think I needed that classical instruction for the discipline and the technique and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like you need a base. Same thing with the wrestling deal. You need a base, and then you can kind of grow from there. But if your parents are listening to Neil Diamond and stuff like that, you know, what kind of country music did you cut your teeth on, and that were definite influences on you? I mean, dude, you was born in what, 85?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was born in 85.
Give me kind of your childhood music heroes.
Well, it started out just learning fiddle tunes. I just had fiddle heroes. You know, I liked Vassar Clements and I liked Buddy Spiker and these guys that nobody would really know who they are, but in the fiddle world there. Through that, I found Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys, sort of Western swing stuff, and he was a fiddle player, and that sort of broadened my horizons to what a fiddle could do. And then that's when I really got my introduction into country music, because like you said, you know, I was 12 and I was playing with adults, and the stuff that they were playing was, you know, Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings and George Jones and Ray Price and all the old school stuff. So that's what I cut my teeth on, was playing into American Legions and VFW halls, you know, playing Ray Price tunes. And then I never did want to sing until I was about 14. I could always do it, but I was too shy to do it in person or something, or in public. And then I started singing at 14. Yeah, then I really dove headfirst into it. Country music and wrestling are like the only two things that I can get real nerdy about.
Those formative years when you were 14 and moving on, you were basically playing the fiddle, and you were also like a session musician as well, right? Because when did you get a chance to really start being, you know, a lead vocalist and, you know, start doing some covers? Because you didn't really start writing until you were 28.
Yeah, no, I didn't write for a long time. I would do back home in Florida. I played at a place for a long time called Porky's Last Stand. It was a barbecue restaurant with a bar in the back. And I played weekends there from, 13 to 19 when I moved to Nashville. And that's where I started singing. And, you know, I was working every weekend as a kid and making money. And I was living at my parents' house, so I wasn't paying any damn bills or nothing. I saved up some money and I moved to Nashville, and then that's when I really started working.
What did your parents tell you when you took off to Nashville?
Have a good time. I was the last one, so I think they were happy to have me gone for a while. There was a couple times when I first moved up there in that first year, there was a couple times where I was like, Mom, I got to come home. She said, sure, you can move home, but I don't know where you're going to live. She kept me up there, you know.
How were those formative years there in Nashville? Because, man, when I first broke into wrestling business, I had 5 months of wrestling school training, and then they beat the shit out of me in Dallas for about 2 months, and then Jerry Jarrett hired me to go up there, and I drove up there in a 1988 Hyundai Excel, and my payments were $154 a month. And I don't know if you know where it's at, but over there in Nashville, it used to be the bad side of town, on Dickerson Pike, there's a hotel called the Congress Inn, and that's where I lived. And the entire time I stayed down there in Nashville, I wasn't hooking up with any of the strip club dancers or anything like that. I was a solo act at the damn Congress Inn, and the people that ran that hotel would let me pay my bill whenever I got the money, and they always knew I would pay. and no matter how long it took, but they really took care of me. So how did you survive once you got to Nashville? Because I was there a little bit before you got there, doing the hard time blues.
Man, I just worked my ass off. You play downtown, there's one block there's more now, but when I first moved to town, there's pretty much one block with bars on either side. There's probably 12 bars on that block. And that's the 400 block of Broadway downtown. And I played at all those things, man. And you work 4-hour shifts with tips. And the more gigs you work, the more money you make. So I took all the gigs that I could get. And I think around 24, I was playing 14 shifts a week, which is over 50 hours of singing a week. I worked and worked and worked. Started touring, and that afforded me a little more time. I didn't have to work downtown as much after I started touring because it paid a little better. But I starved, man.
But you know what? Starving, when you're doing the starving thing and you're playing those as many gigs as you're saying, just like you just, those 4-hour gigs over and over and over again, that was just like the weekly territory. We ran the same towns every single week as a little loop. And because you were doing it 6-7 times a week, you got real good real fast because you got your chops down. It sounds like the same deal you did coming up in the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, when I moved to town, I was 19, fiddle player. I'd been there for I'd been visiting there for a few years in the summer times, and I had a gig waiting for me when I moved up with a guy named Jesse Taylor at Tootsie's, and when I got there, I thought I was hot shit, because where I came from in Florida, there was like 3 fiddle players, and I was the best one. So, when I moved up there, I thought, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm gonna light this town on fire. And I found out real fast that I was not as good as I thought that I was. And I got my ass whooped on that stage by some people who were much better than me. And I thought, well, shit, I better start practicing. I think you have to fail to learn.
You're damn right. It's also pressure. I mean, because you're going to fold up tent and go home, or you're going to buckle down and keep going.
Yeah.
Only the strong survive, man.
Practice makes perfect, but failing in front of a crowded house, that makes more perfect.
Let's take a quick pause for the calls and get big ups to TrueCar. If you're looking to buy a car, you're probably familiar with terms like MSRP. You might even know what it stands for. But what does it actually mean? The same goes for invoice, list price, and dealer price. This is enough to confuse anybody. All you're really looking for is a price that actually means something. Introducing True Price from TrueCar. Now you can know exactly what you'll pay for the car you want, including fees and accessories, before you even get to the dealership. TrueCar dealers will show you the true price on cars like the one you want, all from the comfort of home. And how do you know if your true price is a great price? Because TrueCar shows you what other people paid for the same car you want. And your certified dealers know this, so they set their true price competitively so they can win your business. So when you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. You're also going to need some car insurance for that vehicle. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today.
Make sure to stick around after this podcast to get the latest headlines from the AP News Minute.
All right, folks, the NBA season is right around the corner, so it's time to get in on the action with the official Lakers podcast right here on PodcastOne Sportsnet. Join Emmy Award-winning sports reporter Susie Schuster and co-host Aaron Larsel as they discuss the Lakers news of the day and break down the upcoming season with some of the biggest guests around, including recent interviews with Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, and LeBron James. Check out the official Lakers podcast each week exclusively on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you love the show, tell your friends and leave a rating and a review. Folks, I'll tell you what, I've been hanging upside down lately, like Michael Keaton in Batman. It's called inversion therapy, which uses gravity and your own body weight to decompress your spine and release tension in your shoulders, neck, and joints. My new sponsor, Teeter, these are the OGs of inversion tables, dedicated to helping you ease back pain and keep your joints loose and feeling great. Folks, I got mine set up in my garage, and I get on that thing, hang upside down about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm done. Decompressing on a Teeter inversion table for a few minutes a day is a great addition to your daily routine, helping you maintain a healthy spine and active lifestyle without the pain. Over 3 million people have put their trust in Teeter, recognized as the best-known name in inversion tables since 1981 and the only inversion table brand that has been both safety certified by UL Laboratories and FDA registered as a Class 1 medical device. And check this out. For a limited time, just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can get the brand new 2019 Teeter FitSpine Inversion Table model with bonus accessories including a lumbar bridge, pressure nodes, a neck pillow, and an instructional DVD for stretches. Plus, you'll also get a free pair of gravity boots so you can invert at home or take the boots with you to the gym. This deal is $150 worth of savings and is only available at teeter.com/Austin. On top of all that, you'll also get free shipping, free returns, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So there's absolutely no risk to you to try it out. Remember, you can only get the new 2019 FitSpine Inversion Table, all the accessories, plus a free pair of gravity boots and free shipping by going to teeter.com/Austin. That's TEETER.com/Austin. Do it for your damn back.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Hey man, when I was down in Nashville a couple of years ago, doing something for CMT, and I was staying at a hotel, and it was right down the road from Tootsie's. So I walked down there, and I didn't go to Tootsie's, but I went to the Legends Bar. Have you ever been there?
Mm-hmm. I haven't played there, but I've been there a bunch.
Dude, you talk about a great setup. I walked in the back. Dude let me in. He was working that back door. And I just hung back there and drank long necks, and he just struck up a conversation with me. And the thing about that Legends Bar is just like a long-ass rectangle, right? Mm-hmm. And that band is up there by the street, and I'm on the side street over here by that back door. And, man, to your point, man, I mean, like all those bands that are playing in those, like, Legends, Tootsies, all the bands in Nashville, man, like all of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but goddamn, damn near about every band ever can play their ass off because it's Nashville, Tennessee, and everybody's looking for a break, right? So shit, man, I'm back here drinking beer, watching this badass band. I don't know the name of them. I don't know whatever happened to them, but they was damn good. And the bartender was back there just telling me about, Joe started drinking again. He talking about Joe Nickel. I was getting all the scoop about all the local country music people just sitting there back and drinking beer, but it was an awesome time. Let's talk a second about Mr. Jukebox, because I love that record, and I know that you wrote every single song on there except When You Wish Upon a Star, and you dedicated that to your father. Mm-hmm. He passed away 3 years ago and didn't get a chance to see you do this, and he was hoping that you would make it, and you did. What went into writing this album? How do you go about, writing your brand of music and your lyrics and your music?
I think I don't really consider. I do write songs, but I never considered myself a songwriter. I think it's more of I just learned from years and years of playing covers and learning covers. I think I just soaked all of it up, and by the time I was ready to write, I knew how to do it. I knew how to write a country song. A lot of it for me was I got sober at that point, and I had a pretty heavy drinking and drug problem prior to that, and I just didn't really give a shit about writing or anything like that. And I had written this one song. I wrote that song, Weird Thought Thinker. I played it for the guy I was playing for at the time, Johnny Fritz. I played fiddle for him, and I said, "Hey man, I wrote this song," and I played it for him, and he really liked it. So he would hand me the guitar during his sets on tour sometimes, and have me play that song, and I played it, and I found out the crowd liked it too. So I thought, well, I'll just try to write some songs. I wrote a couple more, and then once I got sober, it just all clicked. And I wrote like 20 songs in 2 months. I don't know what. I guess I had a lot more free time I just started writing, and it hasn't really stopped.
What made you decide to quit drinking?
Weird. I just had to. I'm definitely an alcoholic. There's no question about that. And I have a difficult time with moderation. I don't drink any Steve Weisers. I go straight for the old number 7 there.
Right. Jack Daniels.
Mm-hmm. So I'm good at polishing off one of those bottles, and I got a little too good at it. And then there's all the other extracurricular activities that go along with it that aren't so good for you. And I just thought, man, I got to stop this shit. And I did. And, I still smoke the weed now, but that's about as far as I go.
How hard was it for you to quit drinking?
It was difficult. Like, I was fully addicted to it. So I went through a few rough days when I quit. And then, I managed to get about 9 months sober, and then I go crazy for a while. And then I get another 9 months after that. So I haven't figured out the whole quitting for good thing, but I hear it's one day at a time anyway. So I'll work on it tomorrow.
Did you go anywhere, or did you do the old do-it-yourself program?
I did all of the above, man. I found a program, stuck with that. I did do it yourself. I did everything, everything but rehab. I haven't done that one yet, but it is what it is. And I feel like at the time when I needed to make that record and needed to really buckle down on my career, there's no way that I could have done it unless I was 100% sober.
Growing up, I was a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan and just absolutely a fanatic about his music and his guitar playing. And, he was strung out really bad, and then he got cleaned up, right towards the end before the helicopter crash took him out. And he said, he basically kind of had to relearn how to make music. So once you sobered up, did your perception or taste change as far as regards to music, or did your playing change because maybe you were used to playing a little bit altered?
Oh, for sure, man. It was almost like a point of pride how puffed up I could get and still sing, It got to the point when I quit, and First of all, it was damn near impossible to play gigs anyway because they were in a bar. So that was already hard. And then, I started singing. I was like, it feels different. It physically feels different. Your vocal cords aren't as strained and messed up as they were. And it's almost easier. And that makes it harder, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Because I was so used to having to push so hard. And I went to the doctor a couple months after I quit, and I said, I can't. I'm having trouble working. My voice just gets all scratched up, and it doesn't feel good. It hurts, and it never happened when I was drinking. I don't know why. And she said, she goes, no, it probably did happen when you were drinking. You were just drunk. I'm like, oh yeah. That's a good point. So I was like, I get about 2 hours into singing, and then it hurts. I don't know why. She goes, because you just shouted for 2 hours. That's why it hurt.
Well, you know what? You were probably somewhat medicated, so you didn't feel it. But
exactly.
Your vocal cords got to be in shape. When I was making a Broken Skull Challenge, we did 5 seasons of it. And man, I'd go from just, normal talking to my wife every day or whatever, just like I'm talking to you, to being out there in the desert on a mountain in 100-degree heat, yelling at athletes, for weeks on end. And those that first week, 5 days straight of filming before you get that break, it's like, I could barely talk, and I've got the vocal ease and the singer's throat or whatever the damn names of, you spray that shit on your vocal cords to try to get a little bit of relief. But first of all, I probably wasn't coming from the diaphragm enough, but my vocal cords just weren't used to the strain. So after I basically calloused them up after about 5 days of yelling, then they kicked in, and then I was in shape. And then after the first season, I would start kind of yelling for, about a week before the show started. I'd start yelling for about an hour or two at a time, try to get my ass in shape from a vocal level.
Hell yeah. That's a hell of a vocal warm-up.
Hey, dude, what do you do to warm up before you go on stage?
Shot of Jack Daniels.
Hey, check this out. I was at Ozfest years ago in San Antonio, Texas, because I was good friends with Zach Wild from Black Label Society. He played guitars for Ozzy Osbourne. And so me and Zach are in this little bitty room, and I'm kind of behind the door. And Zach's in there. He always called his guitar a fiddle. And I'd call him up at the hotel. He goes, I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just walking around playing the fiddle. Come on down. So I grab a bottle of Crown Royal and go down and see him. And I thought he was really going to be playing a fiddle. He was playing his guitar. So anyway, we're in this little bitty closet. And all of a sudden the door kicks open. In comes Ozzy. And he shuts the door and he goes, okay, Zach, let's warm up a little bit. And so him and Zach, he starts singing. And Zach's playing. And I'm squashed in the back corner. Ozzy, to this day, still doesn't know I was in this room. But he was in there doing his warm-up thing. And anyway, it takes me to some of the warm-up methods used by pro wrestlers. And my deal was, wave my arms back and forth, kind of cross my chest. I might do 2 push-ups. And then I would pour some water on so I didn't look all ashy and white. And a lot of guys use baby oil, but baby oil makes you too slippery. And so I didn't use no baby oil. And then Jake of Snake Roberts was one of my favorites because Jake would be over there leaned up against a trash can. The snake would be in a bag on top of the trash can. And Jake would just be standing there smoking a cigarette. All of a sudden, they would hit Jake's music, and Jake would take one last drag on that cigarette, throw his cigarette, just kind of squash it down on the cement, and then he would just walk to the ring, and that was his warm-up.
Yeah, that's sort of my warm-up, too. I don't know. I probably won't even be able to sing for that much longer. I think I treat my voice like shit, probably. A vocal coach would probably be mortified, but I don't know. I don't understand vocal warm-ups. They don't make sense to me because you're just singing. So your vocal warm-up for singing is singing. That doesn't make any sense. But it's like you said, I think just through sheer overuse of my vocal cords, it's just like any other muscle. You break them down, you build them back up. They're stronger than they were before. And I think I just have beaten them into submission, so they just do what I want them to now.
Hey, man, I was reading one of the articles I read about you. It said you would watch Ric Flair promos to warm yourself up before a show. Is there any truth?
Yes, it is. That is true. First of all, I read that you said this recently as well. He's the greatest of all time.
Indeed.
Yeah. It just goes to show you how good he is. What did he win, like 5 matches in his whole career? Something like that? And he's still the GOAT. His promos are so, the swagger, the confidence, like, they get me amped up. I don't know why. Him yelling that his shoes cost more than your house is my favorite thing that I've ever heard. It's just, they get me pumped up for the show. So I do watch those occasionally if I'm feeling a little timid before I head out there.
Well, the thing about it, he won almost every match he was in because he always cheated in some fashion to win.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think, going back to your Hulkamania days, I mean, Hogan is right up there as well. But just from a pure work standpoint, I think all of the worker class guys are always going to go Ric Flair as being the GOAT just because, he was the last guy to defend that NWA championship worldwide, 24/7, 365 nonstop. And Hogan was obviously just super paramount in importance to the movement of the business and becoming so mainstream as it was. But Flair, dude, when it come time to walking the walk, talking the talk, cutting the promos, and man, the stories about Flair are legendary because he would stay out and get hammered all night long, and at every single television taping, the dude always showed up looking like $1 million. And Terry Taylor told me a story one time. He was working with Flair in New Orleans, of all places, and they're working together. Terry's a little bit on the nervous side because he's working with the world champ. And then finally, at the nth hour before the show starts, Flair shows up, and Terry goes to talk to him, and Ric Flair says, "Hey, just give me a cup of coffee." And so Terry kind of felt like a little bit, slapped in the face. He's trying to, get on the same page with him with regards to the match. And Flair just told him, get him a cup of coffee. So he gets his coffee. Flair's kind of changing into his boots. He already has his trunks on. And Terry's just like about to shit a brick, because, this is a big match. He's working with the world champion. And he says finally they go out there and Flair and him rip the damn roof off that building for about 30 minutes. And about 25 minutes in, Terry was just begging him to go home. Like, not begging him, but he was so blown up. And the fact that Flair showed up in just unbelievable condition, looked haggard, not ready to go. And all of a sudden they rang that bell and and Terry Taylor can work his ass off. And this is a compliment to Terry. But yeah, as soon as that bell rang, mister, it didn't matter what Flair had done the night before. So anyway, I just consider it, and many of us consider Ric Flair to be the all-time greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he just had it. He is that jet flying, limousine riding, and then he could be a chicken shit, heel in the ring, and I love that. And I'm always a heel guy anyway. He's definitely my GOAT for sure, and that's why I got to watch him before I get up there.
Start channeling that injury.
Space Mountain.
Yeah. Hey, man, let's stretch it out for a second for DDP Yoga. I've been doing my regular workouts with the DDP Yoga Now app for months, and man, I am definitely feeling a difference. I'm more limber and loose than ever before, and I feel fantastic. Have you been looking to get on board with DDP Yoga? Well, there's no excuse not to, because Dallas has given you 7 days free to try it out. That's a week to try the program, explore the app, and own your life, and it's completely free. DDP Yoga can work for all ages, all weights, and all fitness levels. It's a kick-ass cardio workout that will dramatically increase your flexibility and strengthen your core like never before, and all with minimal joint impact. And check this out. DDP's upcoming book, Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It, is now available for pre-order, filled with lessons from Page's life that share his own struggle to find his calling, overcoming one obstacle after another. Positively Unstoppable is a Bible for anyone who needs to be re-inspired to follow their dreams and take real action towards the things that matter most to them. Positively Unstoppable will be released January 15, 2019, and is available for pre-order anywhere books are sold. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can save 20% off all DVDs and annual memberships for the DDP Yoga Now app. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and take advantage. Don't forget, you can catch Dallas while he's out on the road at the Rhode Island Comic-Con, November 2nd through 4th. Tickets and information at ricomicon.com. Hey, I got a chance to watch you make your debut at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Are you nervous typically before any show, much less a Grand Ole Opry show, which is kind of like, the holy grail for country music?
Oh, that's it. That's the thing you do. That's what you're working for. Man, typically, no, I don't get nervous. The only time I ever get nervous before shows is if I'm worried it's going to be a low-attended show. Then I start getting a little nervous. Or if it's the Grand Ole Opry. That's pretty much it. I've played the Opry 4 times, and I've been nervous as hell every time. So I don't know if it'll ever go away. Every time I play the Opry, I think the same thing at the end. The first time I thought, well, I got to play it one time. That's pretty cool. And then the second time I thought, if I die tomorrow, I got to play the Opry 2 times, So every time they call me back, I'm like, damn, for real? All right. It's pretty amazing getting to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Are you touring with anybody right now, or is it just you?
It's me and my band, and we brought my friend Cale Tyson out. He's opening up for us. But we're doing a headline tour right now and leading up to going over to Australia. for another one. I think it's a little headline tour over there too.
Hey man, how those people over in Australia like country music over there?
Dude, they love it.
Really?
I mean, yeah, those are just rednecks over there. They just got a different accent.
Dude, I went over there. I made a movie over there a long time ago called The Condemned, and one thing that blew me away about that country was it's absolutely phenomenally beautiful. The white sand, kind of bluish green water. And, it's like the women drink as much beer as the guys, and the women like football as much as the guys. I mean, it was just, I didn't meet one. And I'm sure there is an asshole in Australia, but the entire 3 months I was there, I didn't meet one of them. It's a spectacular place. I was just wondering when you go from there to New Zealand, all these different places, and like when you played the UK and Ireland, I guess last year, how's the country music market over there?
I've done the UK and I've done a little bit of Europe. And, man, I'll tell you, Scandinavia is the place. They love country music. Like Norway and Sweden, they love it over there. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I heard it's big in Japan, too, so I'd like to get over there. But I think that's what is so great about country music is that I think it's relatable. It's so relatable that anybody can like it.
Is the jukebox being played right now on country music radio?
On some, it's on Sirius. It's definitely not on like top 40 country radio. I don't think it will be, but it's getting some spins out there in the satellite radio world. I think that's what most people listen to anymore anyway.
Man, a lot of people are listening to that kind of mainstream, whatever you want to call it, that flavor. But it's like, there's a lot of people still drinking Bud Light. As a matter of fact, it's the number one selling beer in the United States. But I came out with my IPA, which is a hoppy, beer, and it's not the mainstream. And so I like what I like. When I heard Mr. Jukebox, I just like, hey man, this is a damn good album. I hope it gets played for you, and I hope you're having great success with it.
Oh man, thank you. And that I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but it means a lot coming from you because I definitely grew up a Stone Cold fan, So it's just crazy.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'd tell you straight. And I might end up driving back from Nevada. Were you all at the Moroccan or some kind of thing like that? I was looking over here on the computer while we're talking. What is that? Yeah, the Moroccan Lounge, Los Angeles, Saturday, October 27th. I might be able to make that. That'd be about a 900-mile drive for me, round trip. But hell, it'd be worth it. See Joshua Hedley watching Ric Flair promos before he goes out there and rips the roof off a joint.
Put you on the list, but you got to announce me if you come.
You got it. I'll damn sure announce
Hell yeah. One thing I'm excited about is I've been to Australia 9 times now, but this time I'm going over at the same time as the big Super Showdown, the WWE thing.
Oh, really?
I'm going to Super Showdown. It's going to be awesome.
Hey, man, let's wrap it up because I know you got to go. Your band already did the sound check, and you got to get your ass. You're over on East Coast time. I'm on the West Coast time system. But, dude, good luck with Mr. Jukebox.
Oh, man, thanks so much. It was awesome rapping with you, talking about wrestling and shit. So I had a good time, man.
Hey, man, where can people find you on Twitter? I just started following you.
Just at Joshua Hedley. You never know what I'm going to say on that thing.
Well, hey, man, good luck at tonight's show. I'm gonna stay in touch with you.
Please do, man, and let me know if you're coming to L.A., and I'll hook you up.
Will do.
My dude.
Attention, the jocks have had enough. I'm Martellus Bennett, and I'm the leader of this revolution. And I'm not sticking to sports. So join me on Revenge of the Jocks, right here on PodcastOne. I'll cover a broad spectrum of what it means to be a creative, an activist, and just a guy who's trying to change the world. Download new episodes of Revenge of the Jocks with me, Martellus Bennett, every Thursday on PodcastOneSports.com, the PodcastOne app, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Sounds badass? It is.
All right, everybody, give me the go home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Mr. Joshua Hedley. His new album is out right now. It is called Mr. Jukebox. Man, if you love country music, I highly suggest you download this album off iTunes just like I did. I bought it for $9.99, and I am enjoying the hell out of it. Man, every single song on here is badass, and he puts such a different spin on the only song that he didn't write on this album, When You Wish Upon a Star, which he dedicated to his father. And it don't sound like any When You Wish Upon a Star song I've ever heard. He really puts a great spin on it. And Don't Waste Your Tears, This Time, I Never Shed a Tear, Let's Take a Vacation, Mr. Jukebox, of course. I mean, I love this album. And if you love country music, I guarantee you, you will dig this album. I will not lead you astray. I am a country music fanatic. I also like heavy metal, hard rock, some hip hop. I like a lot of things, but I love country music, and I spent 14 years riding up and down the roads in the business of professional wrestling, listening to the likes of George Strait, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Conway Twitty, Keith Whitley. The list goes on and on and on. If Joshua Hedley would have been around back in those days, I would have damn sure been listening to this album right here. Hey, man, check him out on YouTube if you want a sample of this album, because you can find a lot of these songs on YouTube, especially the Mr. Jukebox tune, which is kind of the fastest tune on this thing, and Don't Waste Your Tears. There's a bunch of them on YouTube, but check this thing out, sample it. I highly recommend it, and that's the bottom line. Joshua is on the road, hot and heavy, just like the business of pro wrestling. He's out there playing all the gigs, promoting his album. So support him if you love the album by buying it. But the conversation was, he's just a pro wrestling fanatic, and it's neat to talk to someone who's as talented as he is in country music, who has such a love and passion for the business of pro wrestling. He's just a total fanatic, and I enjoyed the album. So Joshua, thanks. We'll do another podcast when our paths cross and we are face to face. Hey, man, I ain't come out with no T-shirts, so I ain't even going to plug them. But I will plug the best damn IPA on planet Earth. It's called Broken Skull IPA. It's from El Segundo Brewing Company, 140 Main Street in El Segundo, California. If you come into LAX, hang a left. Drive 4 miles, take a right, and you'll be at the brewery, 140 Main Street. Stop by and get you some fresh out of the tap, or pick out a couple of bottles from the cooler. You can also find them at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you in SoCal. If you ain't in SoCal, you probably shit out of luck. And I've been at the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 for about 10 days. I use my cold steel Broken Skull knife more and more and more each day. The other day I got in my pickup truck and I had my knife with me, and I felt naked. Man, everybody needs a pocket knife, whether to get you out of a jam or to help you cut a piece of rope or open up some damn envelopes. I also have the cold steel working man's knife. Amazon's got the best price on both knives. Just go to amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin to get you one. They come in about 5 different colors, or go directly to the cold steel website. If you need any kind of knife, any kind of weapon, any kind of anything, it's just go to their website. They got some good stuff. I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially BetOnline.ag, Timberland Pro, TrueCar, Geico, Teeter, and DDP Yoga. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. Folks, I am on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Steve Austin BSR. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a PodcastOne production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.